I mean, Harvey talked about, they're looking at their business in a new way. Kodak looking at their business in a new way. It's actually refreshing for us because we can start over. The reset that Gary mentioned is actually quite freeing. We can, because everybody's in the same, pile. We've all been damaged, so we can all, you get a chance, a do-over. You can start again, and you'll get credit for that because I think people appreciate that, some of the things you did to yourself, but others you haven't. And so whatever's left in that jar, you can use that to fill it up again. So that's right.
All right. Thank you, Carl. Let's turn the jar over to Michael at Bausch & Lomb.
Well, thanks, John, and thanks for the invitation to speak today. So let me spend just a couple of minutes speaking about the economic impact on Bausch & Lomb, and then give you some thoughts around trust and confidence as well. Coming into this latest economic cycle, Bausch & Lomb had already been hit by a couple issues dealing with reputation. One was a series of financial restatements in 2005, which did not endear us to the investment community, followed by a significant global recall of our leading product in 2006, which not only alienated investors, obviously, but our customers, consumers, and our employees. So following that, we thought maybe we'd get a break. Instead, on my first day at Bausch & Lomb, our stock stopped trading at 11 o'clock. I didn't even know where my office was, quite honestly. And I started having calls come in because the rumor had been put out that we were being acquired, which was true. We were acquired by a private equity firm in October of '07. We told employees, don't worry, everything's great. We then proceeded to change over our entire senior management team within the past year, not only at the top level, but several layers deep. So the economic impact to us in many ways has been more felt by our employees. It's another level of anxiety that they're faced to contend with as we go through this climate. And what's interesting is, as we tell the story of our restructuring, obviously we have significant management changes. We're trying to take cost out of the business, be much more competitive than we have been, is that it's not based on the economy. That's accelerated our pace. It'd be easy to say or blame the economy for redundancies or layoffs. And in fact, we've had a number of media reports out of the States and out of Europe claiming that some of our layoffs are because of the economy, which is not true. In fact, it would be easy to say, great, report that. We can just slide under the covers. We don't want to do that. We're working hard to make sure that our customers understand we're restructuring to be a much more competitive business, and it's not driven by this current economic climate. In fact, our business is good, quite good, versus competition, versus ourselves. The reason being is if you're in the high health industry, if your eye doctor tells you that you need eye surgery next week, chances are you're going to have it. If they prescribe a pharmaceutical, chances are you're going to have it. In fact, I was laughing at Ray. We just signed a co-promotion agreement with Pfizer on the ophthalmic pharmaceutical side. So apparently we didn't have enough change. We wanted to bring in some additional change from the Pfizer side and add that. One of the co-executives from Twitter being in Iraq. And I thought to myself, why would Twitter care about Iraq? He went on to explain, look, broadband penetration in Iraq is very low. So there's not a lot of information sharing. But mobile phone penetration is extremely high. I believe it's in the 80s. And with a short message or a text message, you can now have access to Twittering across Iraq. And think about the transparency that that brings to a culture that's heavily filtered its news, heavily filtered its information in recent years. That level of transparency, as much as it can be painful, I think, is also going to drive a new dynamic and reputation. And it's going to help those companies that deserve to have a sterling reputation. The area of managing reputation for companies who are somehow transgressing what would be considered a public ethic is over. Reputation management is going to be about celebrating and sharing those companies that are actually doing good. And for those that aren't, they're quickly going to be outed. So that's my thought. And again, thanks for being here. I look forward to a great discussion today.
Thank you, Michael. And now, last but not least, Steve from Swiss Re.
Thank you, John. I figured out the reason that I went last. It's because I got to listen to everybody's story and realize that my firm, which takes on risks, pays for recalls, pays for manufacturing defects. We cover directors and officers coverage, which means when a CFO misstates their results, we pay. We take on credit risk, liability, and litigations, like on drugs. Just a lot of things that we're exposed to. And in the past year, year and a half really, we were exposed to credit default swaps and have had significant write-downs there. When it comes to credit risk, we're a firm that underwrites companies like, well, we're Lehman Brothers. We underwrite AIG. 2008 was one of the worst catastrophic years ever, with 37 billion in insured losses, and we paid for those. I've had a CEO resign and a chairman resign in the past couple of months. And we've taken a big loan from Warren Buffett at a 12% coupon that if we don't pay back, he's going to own most of the firm. And we announced about 2 weeks ago we're laying off 10% of our population. So I'd like to get to the Q&A because you might have you might have some questions about how we're handling all of those. But I just want to say, first of all, Ken, thanks very much for the invitation. With apologies, I didn't know of IPREX before, but I'm impressed by the membership and especially the international aspect of it. And as a firm that's based in Switzerland that has over half its business here, and I mean the U.S., Canada, and Latin America, the international flavor of what you do and how we're exposed to risks and how we manage reputation is interesting. Reinsurance insures insurance companies, but we also directly insure everything. We have more mortality data than any government in the world. I guarantee you, if you have life insurance and unfortunately somebody dies, we will pay part of it. The way the system works is just spreading risk, and it's an interesting business because the best case for the customer and for the company is if you get nothing for your premium. You don't want your house to burn down and you don't want to die. So it's tough enough to build a reputation, and since 1846 we've had a very strong reputation, and we're fortunate that we had a very strong reputation as a company that pays quickly. Had a AAA when I started here, and that's another thing. We're down to an A+ right now. So it's been a very, very challenging year, but some of the things we've done have been to really focus on keeping people informed of exactly what's going on, and in particular our employees and clients. Morale, as you can imagine, is a major challenge, especially when you announce a 10% reduction. But keeping them informed, having messages for them to use, in particular with the people that they face on the outside world, is number one.